All right, guys, trying this more official recording here. This is going to be the first review that I will post up to YouTube. So this is my review of Jack's Mannequin, Everything in Transit. Listened to it today while I was out on my run. I was probably 6 miles into my run, something like that, and was definitely looking forward to this. I hadn't heard the whole album before, was obviously familiar with a couple of the songs, Dark Blue and Mixtape on it, and the headline is really enjoyed the album overall. It gets a solid 4 kind of across the board as I looked at the scores, and was really impressed with what the band was able to do with this one. So some of the and I think I want to point out, this does show that I can enjoy something that is genre specific and rock, though it is rock pop, maybe more on the pop side, but I very much did enjoy it. So favorite track prior to listening was Dark Blue. After listening, I have to give the nod to Mixtape. I think it shows the amazing range that the artist has on that the artist has, like, in general. It gets the punk aspect. It leans a lot into pop. The piano is amazing. It balances just pushing the speed with taking a slower, more melodic, more acoustic approach at times. And I think that balance is pretty representative of what you see across the board throughout the album. And that, to me, was one of the things that I think impressed me the most about the album, was that while it stayed within a genre, Andrew was able to do a lot of different things within that genre. He's able to vary the speed, vary the messaging, vary the music. And that stands in pretty stark contrast with some of the artists that I reviewed more recently. So that, to me, was a pretty big takeaway, and I think that goes back to the point Blotty and I were chatting about the other day, that yeah, you can operate within a genre, but you can do a lot within that, and I didn't see that on, I hate to keep hating on them, but The Offspring. I just didn't see that at all. There's no variation in speed, etc. It's the same thing over and over again. So getting into some of the details overall of this, I think lyrically, this was a pretty cool album. I don't say that the messaging was super complex, but it was a little bit deeper than I've gotten on some of the other rock albums, and was definitely able to connect with it. And as I heard more of the songs and the stories that he was telling, I was anxious to see more and hear more. And if it was a book, it had me kind of turning the next page because I wanted to see what was happening next. And I think the music complemented that too. The fact that you already start to see variations and you start to see that breadth early on, that got me hooked and wanted to see where the album was going to go. One of the things I was pretty impressed with after doing a little bit of research was the fact that he was only 22, 23 when he wrote this, coming out of obviously something corporate, much more punk focused, and he leaned heavily into the pop side of things. Obviously that comes through, but I think, again, in contrast with some of the other bands, the fact that he's only 22, 23 is able to write something that I think does have a little bit more emotional connection for me and is more effective was really cool to see. I would say from an overall album perspective, I definitely touched on this. There's a good flow, and it's a pretty solid overall album experience for me as a whole. Timelessness, yeah, I think this could be released today. You know, it's still only like 15, 16 years old, but I think it holds up pretty well. Touched on the music side of things. I think those were most of the key points. So definitely a really cool experience. I was excited to hit this one. I wish I would have hit it earlier, to be honest, like earlier in my life, but overall, really enjoyed it.